median FCSU, or food, clothing, shelter, and utility costs, around 12,300 NTD per month per person. A total of 3.05 trillion NTD of state expenditure per year will be required, which we will conveniently retrieve from doubling the tax of the current situation. Implementing UBI will bring the following benefit. First, the current incompleteness of subsidies for the disadvantaged can be solved by unconditional grants. Article 155 of the Constitution mentioned that the state should provide appropriate assistance and relief to people who are old, weak, disabled, unable to live, or suffer from extraordinary disasters. However, the means-tested social welfare system in Taiwan is unable to fulfill this purpose due to many reasons. For instance, the Taiwan Civic Dialogue Association mentioned that even the long-term unemployed, or those who only earn a meager income from part-time jobs, will be considered as capable of working counted as receiving basic wage by the government. But their difficulties neglected, many unable to make a living are forced to live in poverty, leading to increased health and crime expenses. To illustrate, Business Today reported a young high school graduate with no parents stealing instant noodles in a supermarket due to the inability to receive low-income household subsidies, just because he reached adulthood. In addition, since real estate is also taken into account, the vulnerable may still be ineligible if they inherit an estate. Yahoo News mentioned, although 3 brothers in John Paul were on the verge of starving to death due to the inherited ancestral sanhe yuan from their parents, they were unable to apply for low-income subsidies. After being sent to the hospital, the eldest brother died of malnutrition. These problems highlight the urgent need for UBI, ensuring that everyone's basic needs are met by covering those in need through unconditional grants. According to the reporter, not only did hygiene improve, but the rate of underweight and uneducated children also significantly decreased after implementing UBI in a poor village in India. Another case in Namibia shows that UBI dropped crime rates by 20%, saving social costs on crime. The reporter also stated that every dollar invested in children's health and education can save up to $9 of social costs on health and crime. This showed that UBI can effectively help those in need and save social costs. Second, a UBI can stimulate people to chase their dreams by freeing them from economic pressure, encouraging social innovation and economic growth. A Film Medium report in Japan found that under experimental UBI, there were 40% more people who wanted to start a business themselves than without a UBI. Another interview by Crossing also showed that the interviewees were unhappy about their current jobs and work environment, but couldn't quit due to economic burden. They further stated that if UBI was given, they would definitely quit their current job and seek a better working environment. A UBI can further support their will to start their own business by providing them capital. The reporter mentioned a case in Namibia in which a young mother with 7 children was interviewed. Originally only earning half the amount required to survive, she saved enough money to allow her to sell 250 loaves of bread per day with the help of a UBI. Besides, the implementation of UBI can also provide an economic basis for people who engage themselves in unpaid working status. And as we're houseworkers and volunteers, without needing to rely on other financial support, UBI allows them to live without needing to worry about the money, granting them a safety net to resist abuse from those originally sponsoring them and the ability to live independently. In conclusion, implementing UBI will not only help more people in need to leave poverty, but also allow people to pursue their dreams without financial worries. Thank you.
Time. You're good, sir. Right. Okay, ladies. By the way, excellent job on avoiding distractions, stuff just world coming down around you.
Good morning, honorable judges. For the opponents, the topic before us today is that Taiwan should enact UBI. We, the Con team, believe that there is no need for change. As the first speaker of the Con, I will address the 4 reasons why Taiwan shouldn't implement UBI. Contention 1. Financial burden. Providing a regular income to every citizen will impose a significant financial burden on the government, leading to reduced spending on other crucial areas and may be unsustainable in the long run. According to Yin Zixuan, who is a scholar at the Hong Kong Institute of International Studies, UBI would increase the government's recurrent expenditure, placing immense pressure on public finances and making it challenging to sustain the program. For instance, the experiment in Finland in 2017, 5.5 million citizens would require an additional 36 billion euros per year, straining the country's resources. Additionally, UBI would add to Finland's welfare burden and may necessitate cuts in other essential areas like healthcare. Thus, it is evident that UBI would create a significant financial burden. Contention 2, inequality. While UBI would appear to promote equality by providing a basic income to all individuals, regardless of their socio-economic status, it may only achieve formal equality. This is because the wealthy do not require the basic income as much as those who are economically disadvantaged. The principle of equality outlined in Article 7 of the Constitution acknowledges that true equality is not solely formal and absolute, but also guarantees the substantive equality of individuals' legal status. Therefore, it is important to consider the nature of normative things and treat them appropriately. Implementing UBI could exacerbate the existing inequality between the rich and the poor, which may not promote the ultimate goal of equality in our society. Contention 3, dependency. UBI has the potential to create a dependency on the government, where citizens rely solely on their monthly income and do not actively seek out work or other sources of income, resulting in a lack of productivity in society. According to a report by Crossing News, scholars are suggested that the UBI could lead many individuals to choose to stay at home instead of taking up low-paying jobs. This is because UBI already provides for people's basic survival needs. However, this could lead to decline in the country's economic competitiveness, and people may prefer low productivity and low-stress jobs. In this scenario, although UBI ensures basic living, it can create a dependency and lower productivity in society. Contention 4, inflation. The concern is that people have more disposable income to spend on goods and services. There could be a surge in demand while the supply remains the same. This could lead to price increases, which in turn could lead to inflation. In a report by Institution, he pointed out that the Finnish government's sudden termination of UBI experiment highlights some of the hidden drawbacks. According to his analysis, UBI could contribute to inflation, leading to the higher prices. Unfortunately, if the basic income cannot keep up with the rising costs, low-income individuals will be affected. Governments would then face a dilemma of increasing taxes or reducing benefits to manage the increased public expenditure. Therefore, it's important to consider the potential risks of implementing UBI, as inflation could be particularly problematic for low-income individuals who might not be able to afford the increased prices. In conclusion, the Con has clearly shown the clear reason that Taiwan shouldn't enact UBI, including financial burden, inequality, dependency, and inflation. We must reject the topic in this debate and vote for the Con. Thank you.
Okay, Crossfire, ready?
Who's going to start first? You want to start first? Or you want to start? Oh, you start first. That's all right.
I think
Okay, timer started, go.
I'm going to start first. Okay, so you have 4 arguments. The first is financial burdens. You think that implementing UBI will put pressure on other stuff like other government. So, and the second is the wealthy don't need the surtax. You think that the wealthy don't need the money because the third one is implementing UBI will cause dependency on government. The fourth one is it will cause inflation. Okay, so let's take it to the first one. So you think that implementing a UBI will put pressure on other stuff, but in our world, the fund is from surtax. We double up the taxes. So there's no money. So we have new $3 trillion. So that won't lead to the pressure measures. Yeah, we double up the taxes. We said it in the first construction. Yeah.
including the poor people and
So people under the poverty line don't have to pay the tax. So we only tax the rich. So okay, quick. So it won't put pressure on other stuff. And second, you think that the wealthy don't need the money. So the wealthy don't need the.
Can I ask?
Okay, so you asked us.
You said that implementing UBI can make people pursue their dreams without financial problems.
Yeah.
How can you prove that if they don't have financial problem, they can really do what they like, or Because according to
Sorry,
our
I'm
evidence,
not really sure.
according to our evidence, people will prefer to stay at home because they already
Oh,
have the.
so we have a lot of evidence showing that, like here in Alaska, unconditional payments to residents have impact on increasing the part-time working by 70%, and we have part-time working. So it's total working rates. So it won't cost people to, it won't cost dependencies on the government. So people will go to work, and we have second. So we have second cases showing that in no matter in Finland, no matter in Iran, the working rate is increasing after implementing a UBI. So we can all make clear that implementing a UBI won't cause people to don't go to work. So we can make an agreement on that. Okay. So I'll move on to the next question. You said implementing UBI will cause inflation. Yes, but we agree that it will cause inflation, but not that much, because while in our policy we think that we're going to surtax the wealthy. So, okay, thank you.
Okay, do you need prep?
Okay, a bit.
Please, tell me when to stop it.
My time starts now. So the opposing time brought up 4 points. The first one is financial burden. They believe that by doing UBI, the money implemented into healthcare and stuff will be cut. But however, this is not true, because in our policy, we raise the tax rates, so the money comes from the society instead of cutting healthcare and like subsidies for the poor. And it doesn't make the poor need to pay the money, because the income tax is based on how much you earn. So the poor don't earn as much, so they don't pay as much, and they get UBI. So they get the money from the government instead of actually having to pay money. And the second point is they said that basic income for all only receives formal equality, and it exacerbates the wealth gap. So I'm quite confused why giving the same money to everybody exacerbates the wealth gap, because everybody receives the same money. Shouldn't the gap be like the same or like not as severe? And also they said that only achieving formal equality is bad, but in our cases, the people in need, there are like people, like the instant noodle case, the young man, he was just a high school graduate, and he could not work to get the wage required to live. And he was like, he had to steal the noodles. And then here we have another case from a news that says that there was a Japanese PhD, and she didn't want to go get the low-income subsidies because she felt that it was embarrassed. How are you guys going to help these people if you don't give out UBI and give money to everybody? So we believe that helping the poor is more important than just achieving real equality, because if you achieve formal equality, you still help more people get the money and the resources that they need. And the third thing is they say that it's a lack of productivity. But as we presented, like the Alaska case, the work rates increased. And also we also have evidence, that's Iran, that said that the work rates increased by about 40%. So we do not think that people will stay at home and not do anything, because we do have evidence saying that people will go to work. And we also have evidence proving that people can finish their dreams once they have UBI. Like in the Namibia case, that mother with the UBI could successfully go make bread and sell and make a living. And also people would want to go to start their own business once they have UBI. And the last point they brought up is inflation. And for inflation, I do admit that there will be inflation, but how much? Like the tax, it only accounts for like 5 to 10% of the price. And so how much does the inflation affect the Taiwan society? That's some evidence I want to hear from the con side. And also, by taxing the rich and the poor and giving the money back to the people, there's no actually rise in capital in like the general public. You take money from the society and put it back. So there's no increase in capital. So I would like to hear how taxing increases the prices of general goods. And so today, as the affirmative side, we want to say 2 points. One is that it helps the people in need. So as stated, there are a lot of people who actually need the money, but they can't get the money due to the standards or due to them feeling embarrassed because they don't want to admit that they have low income. So by giving UBI, we can really just help these people, and these people will get the money, and they will have money to get the food they need.
Good morning. I'm the second speaker of the time. Before answering the opponent's argument, I will first respond to the disagreement with that. First, about the disagreement, we do not think that using UBI can really decrease discrimination. First, even though they don't have to admit that they are low income, can we tell on what they do, how they eat? It is that the discrimination doesn't really just come from getting the low income subsidies. It comes from a lot of places, and using UBI does not solve them all. Second, they said that with UBI we can help the people who really need help. But if we just only want to help the people who really need help, why don't we just unite all our resources and give them all to the people in need, instead of wasting a lot of resources on the people who don't need. And also they said that they believe that there will not be people who don't want to work because of this UBI. However, we also have that evidence which shows that people will not want to work, and if they want it, we can give it to them when they need. And also that we agree that the status quo may have ignored some people. This is responding to your argument. So they said they can help the disadvantaged people. However, we agree that in the status quo there are some people who are ignored in the current system. However, with so much money that is used, that UBI would waste on the people who don't need help, why don't we just use these resources to develop a better plan that can both help the poor and we can try to include all the poor in our plan. So this is a better way, since that UBI may cause a lot of harms, like we said, financial burden, inequality, dependency, and inflation. So this is clearly not the best way to solve the problem of helping disadvantaged people. And also they said that this UBI can help them pursue their dream on working, but however, it is not that you want to work as your dream and you can get a job. It's, for example, if I want to work in Apple, can I really get a job just because I want to? And if people cannot get it, and if people cannot get it and they don't want a low-income job, then won't this cause the productivity of Taiwan being very low? And this is my speech. Thank you.
Ready for crossfire?
You want to go first? Okay, so the first disagreement you had with us is that giving UBI does not decrease the discrimination of the poor. What I want to say is we're not trying to decrease the discrimination. We're trying to help them, because if they originally don't get the money, they cannot survive. What we want for them is we want them to survive, because if they go get the money, they are scared that you're going to get discriminated, so they don't get the money. But if the government just puts the money in your hands, then you cannot not take the money, and then you can survive.
Okay, so why do you
So
think
why
that,
do you think like, yeah, that's a clarification.
for your question, so why do you think that they will, I mean, you wouldn't just go on the street and say, oh, I need the low-income subsidies. It is a form. You don't have to tell everyone that you're getting the low-income subsidies. And so why will people think that they will be discriminated because of this?
Because they think that applying for low-income subsidies, like if they go to a school and their friends know, or if they go to a party and their other like their friends know, then they feel like they're gonna get discriminated.
Do you think that if they don't get the subsidies, we cannot tell whether someone is poor or not?
They feel like taking low-income subsidies means that they're not working and they're just lazy, and they just need a low-income subsidies because they're lazy, so they're scared that they're gonna get discriminated. And okay, my question is, how are you going to ensure that the money is given to everyone in need? Because you say you want a new policy.
We want to by giving it to because from the highest government of Taiwan, it is hard to know that which everyone who it is hard to see everyone who need it. But if we can give it to assign this to the county and city, they can give it to like the village, and the village can.
If you want the village to go visit everybody's house, then that would take a lot of money to make it like to visit. Like there's 23 million people in Taiwan.
Oh, but we have a lot of mayors and the people beyond below mayors. There are a lot of people, and also you said that it will take a lot of people. However, this also means, I believe that you also mean that it will take a lot of resources to do this, right?
Yes.
So, but do you think that using UBI can use less resources than this?
I mean, if you go visit everyone, you will need a lot of resources. So that doesn't make your needed resources less. If you don't visit everyone, once you draw a line, wherever you draw a line, you will exclude a group of people. And in that group of people, there will be people who are in need, but the government just didn't realize that they are in need. So it's either you have to put a lot of money into the plan, or you have to.
Okay, I understand.
Yes.
So I want to ask you that how many people are you giving? How many money are you giving to each?
In the case we started, we told you that we're giving 12,000 to them first.
You need prep?
Yes.
Okay, I want to prep.
Thank you.
Okay, so upon crossfire, we can be sure that so the opposing team said that they want to visit every house and create a subsidies, low income subsidies for all, but that may cost a lot, and that cost may be higher than the than implementing UBI. So we're not really sure that what the cost is and how will they implement it. So in our first argument, we said that there are a lot of incompleteness of subsidies right now, and there's a lot of calculation flaws. So we can agree that these cases still exist, and it won't be changed if we still implement the low income subsidies right now. So at the opposing team's third argument, they say that they said that if implementing a UBI, it will cost the dependency on the government. But we have plenty of evidence shows that if we implement a UBI, it will cause the people go to work. And there's something I want to say is that they said the UBI will cause inflation, but as our rebuttal says, the money is already in the market, and so we do the distribution. We agree that there may be a little inflation, but the inflation rate won't be that high because we are only distributing the money and redistributing the money and already in the free market, already in the society. So the opposing team asked a question. He said that, can I get a job because I want to? I said, I argued that we're not letting people to, because that's not what the opposing team said, because in our world, we implement a UBI and it will cause people to, no matter if they're not working, they have the money to survive, and have the money to survive. It's not letting people to chase any dreams they want to. It is letting people to have the chance of make a living. So if you're lucky enough to have a job, then that $10,000 will be a budget for you to chase your dreams. So I'm really sad to hear that the opposing team just didn't mention the incompleteness of the current subsidies, because we already mentioned a few cases from John Paul brothers, or the teenager that steal the instant noodles from the supermarket. So if we don't implement a UBI, those people will still be starved to death. Thank you.
15 seconds over on that. Ready, ladies, or run prep? Run prep? Yeah, run prep. Ready?
Good afternoon. As the speaker, at the third speech, I will summarize the things that happened before. And first, they claim that there will be financial problems if we implement UBI. And their response is they will double the taxes, and the poor people don't have to pay the taxes. And they can use these taxes to pay for the UBI. But according to they said that it will give every people 12,000 each month. And when we time this amount of money times the population of Taiwan, it will cost almost $3 trillion a year. And it is above the whole expenditure of Taiwan's government a year. This kind of the money that is this much of money, how can we get this much of money by only doubling the taxes? The taxes now are not enough, and why would it be enough if we double the taxes? So we didn't see that it is workable to get enough money by only doubling the taxes. And to say the least, help the poor people to get the basic income, then what is the difference with the current system? The wealthy people pay taxes and we give them subsidies to the poor people. So we didn't see why should we implement UBI. And they said that in the current system, some people feel embarrassed and they can't get, so they won't get the money because they feel embarrassed. So, but why will they feel embarrassed? I mean, when you apply for the subsidies, people won't know you get the subsidies. No one will know that you are the low income, or everyone will not. Okay, people won't know that you get the subsidies. So why would those people be embarrassed? And also, we think that they think that some people in need of help are. Oh wait, let's go to the next point. They said that the inflation caused by UBI, the money is already in the market, so why would UBI cause inflation? Or they say that it is only a little bit. But according to the evidence, the money, because the money were used in something like public facilities, and that is not in the market. And if we give money to the people, the ability of their purchasing will increase, and the money in the market will increase too. So it will cause inflation. Thank you.
All right, Brian Cross. Ready?
Oh, okay. Oh, that's it on the stage. So, let's start now. Okay, so the opposing team said that we don't have enough money to implement the UBI, but in our first constructed, we said that the current. So we have the evidence right now that says that the current taxation per year for the government is 3.2 trillion. So if we double the taxes, we can pay for the 3 trillion that you said.
But you said that the low incomes do not have to pay the double taxation.
That's the current system, because if someone says lower than the line that they said, they don't have to pay the taxes.
Okay,
So we tax the rich to pay for the UBI.
so what about the people in the middle classes? They don't have as much money as the wealthier ones, but they also have to pay the tax for it.
After doubling the tax, they get like around 10,000 taken away, and they get 10,000 back. So it doesn't make a big difference for them.
So then why?
So you're only helping the lower class.
Yeah, so we're helping the lower classes because we think that the people who earn more, their responsibility for
Then
society.
why should it be unconditional? Why should the basic income be unconditional?
Because one, you don't have the capital to implement the thing that you said, visiting the 23 million people in Taiwan and looking at them one by one. And while you can't implement that, once you draw a line, there's people excluded, and in those people excluded, there's like people who aren't willing to go apply.
Yeah,
or
so
people
as a result, it
I
was
mentioned before that we can visit every villages one by one, or
it will take a very high cost.
Yes, you said that it will take very many
Okay,
resources,
so
but paying UBI is
so let's compare now. So
almost $3 trillion.
so we have a policy, and we have a really complete policy said that we're going to implement the UBI. We have funds, we have the resources, and you had just said that you're gonna.
Yes, but so your benefits for UBI is.
No, the problem with visiting every village is that you don't have that much people, because there's
actually,
like a huge.
We don't need to have to visit every village. If people apply for the low income for the subsidies, and we can.
But that doesn't that doesn't make sense, because we said that someone will be ashamed. There's some evidence out there.
I told you that they won't be ashamed.
No, but
People
that's you. You say that you don't feel ashamed if you're going to apply for it, but there is people who
But
actually say they feel
you
ashamed.
said that people will think that other people think they are low income and they get.
Okay, there's
subsidies.
several
Okay,
problems
we have-
right now. So there is one that people will feel ashamed. Second is that there is incompleteness right now in this society. So implementing a UBI will let the poor people get the money they should get.
No, so we actually have evidence here. It says that that particular person said that she doesn't dare to go get the low income subsidies because she feels very embarrassed because she's a PhD, but she couldn't earn any money, and she feels like.
I know that you're getting a lot of
Time.
the poor, but what about the wealthier ones?
Okay, I'm assuming we're in prep.
Uh,
You good to go? I'll be at a minute and 26, so we'll let it run until you say.
my time will start now. Okay, so some questions. The first question is, where does our money come from? We told you that our tax is enough, so by doubling the tax, we will acquire the amount of money needed for UBI. Second, what's the difference from UBI with the low-income subsidies? The difference is that some people are ashamed to go get the UBI, or some people just cannot get the UBI because they don't qualify. By giving UBI, we can help these people survive. They brought up a system that they want to visit the 23 million people in Taiwan. We tell them it's impossible because one, Taiwan does not have enough manpower because the current shegong, the people who work to go visit the poor is already in lack. If you want to visit all 23 million people, you don't have enough salary and you don't have enough people who are willing to do this. And so it is impossible to visit everyone. And when it's impossible to visit everyone, you have to draw a line for them to apply. And if you want them to apply, some people will just not apply and they will just die. So we can secure more people's basic needs of life. The second thing is boosting economy. They say that we shouldn't let somebody work in Apple just because they want to. But the main point we want to make in this place is that we want to say that once they get the UBI, they have the rights to leave an abusive work environment. So if they think their work environment is bad and they want to engage as being house workers, then they can take the UBI and be house workers or go find a better job without worries of financial burdens. Okay, so to their points, the first one is about financial burden. So it doesn't stand because our whole system is by adding the tax. So the government doesn't actually need to cut healthcare or reduce spendings in other places because you just tax the people and give it back and redistribute it to the people. The second is okay.
You ready? Okay.
Good morning. Now I'm going to talk about the final focus of our team. First, they talk about raising the tax. However, if we want to implement UBI, we need 2 trillion. But they cannot really tell us why the rich have to be responsible for the poor. Why do the rich need to sacrifice themselves just because the poor is ashamed of going to get the low-income subsidies? So we do not believe that there is a need for the wealthier people to sacrifice themselves just for the shame of the poor people. Also, we do not have to visit them all of the people. We can just help the places which are more ignored in the circumstance. And also even though just pretend that we are going to visit all of them. The resources we need will not be as much as the resources we need for UBI. We have the chief of village and the village clerk and a lot more administrators that can do these things without having to have much more people working on this stuff. So there is no problem for the salary and the people. And also they talk, and we believe that there is no benefit from UBI. First, they talk about that this can help the people in disadvantage, but however, the second, only helping the poor people is much more better for help if we want to help disadvantaged people. Therefore, the first benefits does not prove. Second, they say that people can go to work where they want to work. However, this is also not true because it is not just that you want and you can do it. In fact, it may also lead to the low productivity of Taiwan, which we have mentioned before. And so last, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights recognizes the importance of economic and social assistance in promoting personal and social well-being. So we should unite, and UBI can neither do both of any of them. So we believe that we should unite in opposing UBI and the negative it brings. Thank you.
wanna do the horrible thing of we get our time in here now? Since
Okay.
your time is done, you get to go hang out up there. We'll call you in just a second.
Thank you.
No problem. You guys, if you're super quiet back there, I don't care. Unless you guys do want them out? Want them all out? Spectators out?
Yeah, yes, please.
Oh, yes, please. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Boot you guys too. I always just put a question mark. They never told us. Simple question. Whatever. They can fill it in. But good question. I asked that. Set to give comments whenever all set.
Yes,
That's fine. I'll give you an opportunity to speak for, we'll just keep it real short.
yeah.
Maybe just say maybe one critical thing that you've got, one or two maximum. And that way they hear something and then they can talk to us later if they want, but it's all the time.
Yep.
Almost on the lake. 20 minutes for lunch if that.
We will go for pro? Pro now?
Pro or con? Pro? Okay.
All right, three pro.
Alright, well, I'll look in. So these are your comments. You want to give me your main reason for why you voted pro?
one.
You don't have to write them all down, but at least one. Welcome back. Show's about to begin.
Why is it like kind of hot in this?
Because I'm here. I mean, obviously. Bring all this. Okay. If you want to know the reason, I would guess that this window gets more sun because that building is not causing shade for us.
Oh.
And that would be just an observation. All right, fellow judges, either you want to go first? Scotty, you want to go or?
I'll go last.
Okay. So, a couple things from my feedback. We're going to try to limit it to maybe just like one or two. One, guys, I told you this is the last round. Crossfire is for questions. Now, if I started a crossfire thing about something, I could be like, do you feel taxes would be enough to cover the university income? And then you might say, what do you mean? Thank you. Now I can talk to you as much as I want to explain it. But your very first thing, anytime, both of you, that you're up there, should not be a, by the way, we were talking about blah, 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 blah. What do you think? Start with a question. If they don't know, because they weren't listening to your speech, now elaborate. But it's questions, questions. Elaboration when they ask for it. Otherwise, they should have listened to your speech or it should have been in your speech. That cross-examination time or the crossfire time is not speech time. That said, if you said it in there, say it in the next speech. Don't just be like, in crossfire, they said this. Okay, we proved it in crossfire. Proved what? Proved nothing. What if I turned my brain off when you're in crossfire? Because really, I care about your speeches. Okay. For me, the big thing that was under question is, is taxing the rich going to be enough, and how does that work? And I'm very happy to hear that you pointed out later, it was much later, that the lower income people aren't going to be taxed, and when you give it to the middle income people, they get money, but they're taxed on it, so it doesn't really hurt them. And for the other people, they're going to get the money, but who cares, because they're going to get taxed even more. But then, why would it benefit the rich? Why would it benefit the rich? You got to be able to throw that in there. Simple answer that I would think of, there's 1,000 you might be able to do is, well, if the poor have money, guess who they pay it to? The rich eventually. Which makes them get more money, which makes them tax more, but they're still happy because they got more money. So again, it's a recycling system. So you got to point out, why are the rich not going to hate it? Because otherwise, ladies, you could have attacked the rich. The rich rule the world. I hate to say it, but they do. The rich rule the world. They are not going to be happy about losing money. Right? So please point those things out. Those are mine. I'll be quiet because we're way over time. 1, 2, either one?
Okay, I'll
Go.
mention about this presentation part of it. So, pro team, you are supporting each other, so that's a good thing. I don't see a lot of that, so you should be helping each other out when the other speaker is making a speech, and then have more conversation on that. And pro team, you shouldn't have interrupted the con team when they were commenting during the crossfire, so let them finish their speech. So be professional, be polite, and then and you should be more confident when you are delivering your viewpoint. So I don't see that confidence there, so that's a pity. So yeah, overall, I'll vote for pro team, so congratulations.
He's already given out his vote. Okay. All right, you?
I agree, and one thing I will add, kind of piggybacking on what you were saying, was that I did not see that this team particularly was listening to the points of the three. I don't think that either team was really listening to each other's points, because even when arguing one another's points, it was kind of arguing a not accurate depiction of how they decided to, argue their point. So I was like, okay, you're arguing basically on your assumptions as opposed to what they would necessarily say. But other than that, I think it was a bit, tight, but the better edge was given to, the winning team. A
So
slight edge, I would say.
the grand reveal, he did his side already. Normally after comments I bait on 3, 2, 1, we all point to the side who wins.
Okay.
We actually all voted pro this time.
Yes.
Okay, even if it was somewhat close in some things. I do now people can run to lunch. You can also talk to us if you want more individual feedback. I do have one more thing that I would like to say that you can listen to. If you want when, I guess from right if you want, when you are saying, you know, we have evidence that proves it, and then you keep going, change that. Yes, you might have evidence, you could, but there's only like one time that you went back, you said we have evidence that proves it, or we have plenty of evidence, or things like that. You made those statements, but in just the same amount of time, you could say, according to our evidence, including, blah, throw the name of something, blah, 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 blah. So just by saying, according to our evidence, now you've got more than one, or according to some of our evidence, including, name drop something, name drop a study, name drop a person. You don't even have to reread the evidence, but by just doing that instead of saying we had evidence.
It feels more convincing.
Way more convincing. Otherwise, you know, like, what evidence was that? You might know your evidence like amazing because you've studied it. I don't, they don't. What evidence are you talking about? So in the same amount of time, you can make it more effective by just stating the name of a person, a study, a place. You said it when you were doing the only time you said it, you know, in our evidence with Nvidia or whatever, the lady who does the bread. Namibia, okay, whatever, I was like someplace, I wrote bread lady. Because but anyway, when you said, like, that was the only time that you actually referred to a specific piece of evidence, even though you're like, we have one another statement, we have plenty of evidence. Oh yeah? Name one. Name one, man. Okay. Anyway, it would help, that's all. All right, we're done, we're out. Supposed to be on lunch break for like 5 minutes. This one you get to keep for yourself, for your own records. And this one, if you want, I can help you take that. They're supposed to come in. Do you want me to snag the top sheet? Or? Good?
Thank
Yep.
you.
Yep. It's been a pleasure. Good comments.
Are they
Sorry, we're
actually
running.
supposed to read that? My handwriting is
Doesn't
not
matter.
that
Not my problem.
legible.
Not my problem. We can all write
I
like
write
doctors.
like a doctor.
Yeah, I mean,
Thank you.
Thank
all you guys. That tax thing, pointing that out, how like, you know, there's the different levels of taxation and how within the UBI, like it wouldn't be